This movie was even worse than the first one. There's a lot of problems with it, starting with the fact that Bella is 18. Just 18. As soon as the movie starts. It's her birthday. Whatever, blah blah blah. She doesn't want to celebrate it or whatever because she doesn't like aging or whatever. That's also not even really important. But she has a love interest in this movie who is 16 years old. She treats him like he's a baby and acts like he's too childish and blah blah blah. She's not interested in him or anything. They don't actually date or anything. Like, I mean, she calls him his boyfriend and says she doesn't want him to break up with her or whatever, but they never, like, really got together. It's very odd. And Jacob is fucking terrible. I don't like him at all. I didn't really care for her relationship with Edward, but at least, it was just no chemistry. With Jacob, he's just a dick in every scene he's in. He even threatens to put Mike, the side character from the first movie, in the hospital because he's sick. It is very weird. They also retconned the thing that they established in the first movie where they were like, oh, Edward's been 17 for decades, which didn't make any fucking sense. Well, they retconned it because I guess they thought it would be creepy for an 18-year-old to date a 17-year-old, but an 18-year-old having a, like, kinda relationship with a 16-year-old was fine. But she's like, I'm older than you because I'm 18, because he says something about her, being too young to worry about aging, so she's like, oh, I'm older than you, and he's like, no, I'm actually 109. Bitch, you said you've been 17 for decades in the other movie. They're like, why are you 109 now? Age didn't catch up to you? What the fuck? And then they have, like, this dumb thing where the reason they have to move away, they mention it in one scene. Maybe it was just an excuse. Because later he says he moved away because blah blah blah. Don't even remember because it was stupid. But, they're moving away because Carlosine, I think is his name. He looks 10 years younger than his actual age, and people are starting to ask questions. Like, it's not a crazy thing for someone to not look their age. There's a lot of people, just off the top of my head, Samuel L. Jackson, Paul Rudd, and the dude that was in Karate Kid and Outsiders, none of them look their age, and they're all in, like, their 50s, and they do not look 50. So I don't get why people would be like, oh, he looks younger than 10 years. 10 years isn't a big deal. Maybe it feels like 30, 40 years, maybe. But 10 years? And they have to move away because people are like, oh, he doesn't look old. Very weird. Eventually, Edward just decides because he thinks Bella is dead. He doesn't call to make sure. He just hears a dude he doesn't even recognize answer the phone and say she's, like, dead. He doesn't really actually say it. He just doesn't say she isn't. And Bella's like, why didn't you let me talk to him? So it already shows how fucking toxic Jacob is. He's literally having this dude think this girl that he dated and was in love with is dead. Someone that's close to him. And he's like, oh, you know what? You know what would be good? Fucking letting her think he's dead. I'm not Team Edward. I don't really think the chemistry is there. But I'm definitely not Team Jacob. Taylor Lautner's character is such a fucking dick. I wonder if he's gonna get worse. They also constantly have him be shirtless, even though his character is 16, and the actor was 17 during filming. So that's weird. Like, it's obviously not too sexual to have someone be shirtless, but it is kind of weird, especially when it's unnecessary. Like, he shows up to her house, climbs up her house, and goes inside through her window with no shirt. Why isn't he wearing a shirt when he went to her fucking house? Was he walking in the streets with no shirt on? What the fuck? So that's really weird, though. I wasn't a huge fan of the werewolves, but whatever. They change everything fucking else that is interesting about mythical creatures anyway. They also, I think I forgot to mention it in my first review. They make the fucking, sunlight doesn't hurt vampires in this universe, it just makes them shiny. They make that a big plot point. It is referenced at the beginning of the movie, and then it's a major thing at the end. They say that you have to be ripped apart and burned to die in this universe, but now they have like this whole thing where you can commit suicide as a vampire by going to like these kings or whatever, and they'll rip your head off. They don't say anything about burning. Just, I guess there's a way to commit suicide now for vampires, even though it was almost impossible to be killed as a vampire. But you can literally just go to a place and be killed. That's crazy. So that's something. And then the movie ends with Edward and Jacob getting into a little squabble. And she does a corny line about, you can't hurt each other without hurting me, because she likes them both. So then Jacob runs off, and they established that Alice is going to bite her for the longest time. And then she just decides now that she wants Edward to bite her instead. No idea why. She doesn't explain why. She's just like, how about you bite me instead? How about you bite me instead? So they have this little conversation. And he says, on one condition. And she's like, anything what? Or something like that. And then he goes, marry me. And then the movie fucking ends. Like, it's some fucking TV show where the next episode's gonna come out in a week or whatever. It's so fucking corny. Maybe, I guess, if people were really interested in the movie, it would be a good hitter. But, man, that's so dumb. Not to mention the fact that they've spent, like, the entire movie apart. They haven't earned any more bonds or, like, gotten more chemistry together. They spent the entire movie apart. And, she clearly missed him. He missed her or whatever. But it's very weird. Like, you spend the entire movie establishing a relationship with a minor character, both literally and figuratively, with Taylor Lautner. Because he was a minor character in the first movie. He had, like, 3 scenes, and now he's a big focus in this movie. But, anyways, you spend the entire movie focusing on him, and then the movie ends with her getting together with the dude that was barely in this movie. Very weird decision. Not looking forward to the next movie. But it was kind of laughably bad. It was still really boring, to be honest. There's some stuff that are, like containerly bad, but it just isn't good enough to watch. There's also a very goofy scene that I almost forgot to mention, where fucking Jasper tries to kill her because, like, he's not used to being around humans or whatever, because he used to kill humans or whatever. And she gets, like, a tiny paper cut from, like, a birthday card or something, I'm not sure. And instead of, like, him using his super speed to go after Jasper, he fucking shoves her into a wall. He fucking shoves her, like, pushes her, and she flies into the fucking wall, and her arm is busted open now. So now she's bleeding even more. What a fucking dick move by Edward. It's insane that was his way to fix her getting a paper cut, was shoving her into a wall. Yeah. So naturally now Alice is kind of wanting her now because she's bleeding even more. So she's kind of like, oh, I'm out of here. And Carlosine fixes her up or whatever. And Edward's whole reasoning for not wanting to turn her, because that was a thing, was because he thinks people that are vampires are going to hell or whatever. So I guess vampires believe in hell. That's something. They don't say hell, but they say they're going to be damned, which is basically the same thing. It was a very odd movie. Was not a fan. So yeah, that's really about it. Oh, actually, one thing. There was like a throwaway line that made me really hate the character that I honestly didn't have anything to say about from the first movie. Was Jessica. She has a throwaway line where she fucking tells Bella basically that depression is only supposed to last a week. Like she just like gives the time limit, and like she's like, I totally get you being depressed and all, but really get over yourself or something like that. And it's such a fucking awful thing to say. And she doesn't get mad at her or anything. There's just nothing. Just Jessica being a dick and pretending depression has a time limit, and that's it. Fucking weird to add that in. So that was a thing.